Hello everybody, Demon Red Mist here, and today I'm joined by Twilight, or as his name actually says, Twilight. So going to be doing a one-to-one session with Twilight today in the Redbull Junior. Excuse me, a bit. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I've only just woke up and Twilight's having his dinner, so two very different lifestyles. Right, yeah, so we're going to be doing a one-to-one session with Twilight in the Redbull Junior, the next car that's going to be used in the Dynamic GT League. It's kind of a service that I've offered to a few of the Dynamic GT League drivers that perhaps haven't driven this car before, or not used to this kind of car, or are struggling with this kind of car. So what I'm going to do today, while John's eating his dinner, is once he's done that, basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be watching Twilight drive, and so are you. And he's going to try and not be put off by the fact that it's being viewed, or when sectors light up. So just want to mention a couple of things that I'm going to be looking out for, actually. If I just quickly jump to the track. So I can show people on my view the things that I'm going to be looking for. Okay, so on my dashboard that we've got here, going from left to right is obviously the tyres. I'm going to be looking at how much damage they're taking and if they overheat or not. The brake indicator, that one, I'm going to be looking at how smooth he is with his brakes and when he's applying the brakes, and also the throttle. And I've just driven out of the pits when I didn't mean to, because I pressed the throttle to show it moving. And also there is something else I want to mention, because we've only recently noticed it on the dashboard that I'm using here, on in-car view. Is it the same? Yeah, it's same on bonnet view, trail view, and on nose cam view. Just above the rev counter on my dashboard, not the car's dashboard, is a red dot and a white dot underneath it. Now, we did think that that was actually a G meter, but it turns out it's not. It's your angle of steering. So it means that for anyone watching someone, you can watch the red dot to see how much steering angle they're putting on. Just getting to full left is 90-degree turns. So we found that out recently. It's a very handy tool there to let people know if someone's steering too much or not enough. I will also get John to, or Twilight should I say, to have the sector time showing on his screen so that we can keep an eye on those as well. Right, how's your dinner, John?
Finished.
Good stuff.
Nice,
good.
You're ready to go.
Okay, so I know the first race in the DGT League is at the Red Bull Ring, and I know you've been doing some practice around the Red Bull Ring, but I'm not going to take you to the Red Bull Ring right now. What I want to know is, what is your favourite track on this game?
I don't mind Suzuka.
Okay.
I'm good with most.
Interesting. Okay, Suzuka was one that I thought about taking you to. And there was one other. Dragon Trail Seaside was the other one that I was thinking of. That is a track that we're going to be racing at this season. Also, Suzuka is. Suzuka would be a good one to take you to, right? And the reason I want to take you to a track that isn't the Red Bull Ring is I want to take you to a track that's going to show you what the car is capable of doing, so that you know what it's capable of doing, and therefore will be able to transfer that knowledge to, can it do it at this track and that track and this track. Now, admittedly, some of the stuff you might learn at Suzuka may not be transferable directly to this track, but it's got changes of direction, it's got very fast corners, and it's got very heavy braking zones into tight corners. So we won't be there for long. It's just to give you give you the opportunity to see what the car can do. So I'm going to chuck it on to Suzuka. Now, if you're still running the setup as pretty much default, are you?
Yeah, the one you give me.
Okay. Yeah, I did adjust mine slightly. The only thing that I did, right, literally, turns out that I'm running absolutely default, other than front wing is at 675 and rear wing is at maximum. Up to you if you want to make that adjustment, but I made it and it was quite nice. Okie doke. So like I say, we're not going to be at this track for for too long, but what I'm going to do is head out on track, and I'll just try and watch you without saying too much for the out lap and the first flying lap. Then I will see what I want to say. What I would say is just try and ignore the fact that I'm watching you and I'm streaming. Don't worry about making mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, even me. Just watch my yesterday's Nordschleife for Drift Challenge. It was a fucking disgrace. So yeah, so don't worry about that. Don't worry if you go off or anything like that. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Now you may find that you top out, but if you do, don't worry too much, because I say we're not going to be here for long. Try so hard not to spin it. Something I will mention though actually is, I mean, I've joked about it, but something I know that Twilight has suffered from, and I have, and many other people do, is being put off when the sector time flashes up, and if it's blue, which means a personal best, or if it's purple, where it means it's session best. It can be very off-putting because you see the colour and you have to look. The trick with that is, especially in qualifying, is if you've got your sector time showing like John has now, if you see that it's purple, ignore it until you're on a straight, and then you can look at your sector list and see what the time was. Alright? So whenever you see a purple, you have to kind of try and say to yourself, ignore that, then in a safe place you can look at your sector list. Handy tip, not easy to do, but it can make the big difference between, oh purple, look, oh shit, I've gone off, and oh purple, look, and hey, another one. Interestingly, I can imagine the car feels a little bit slippy and like there's not a lot of grip in the middle of corners at the moment. Right, I'll get onto that in a sec. Okay, on the start finish straight, I'd just like you to come to a stop. Right, obviously I could tell in the middle of corners the car felt slippy. I could see that it was sliding for you. This car is kind of a little bit of an anomaly, right? So for example, Sector 1 here at Suzuka, with what we call the knuckles, I would normally recommend that you sort of lift off on your way into the corner, accelerate on your way out of the corner. However, this car, it likes you to be on the throttle. Now, I don't necessarily mean full throttle, but if you have the throttle applied, you have more grip, which means for the whole of the first sector, if you need to do a little lift to get the car turned in and get down to the right kind of speed, then do so. But if you can, just try and hold the throttle on a little bit around the corners, and then, like, not necessarily gently, but don't slam the throttle on, but progressively get quicker. Try and be smooth with your throttle. And hopefully what you'll find is that as you go through that Sector 1, you will actually feel like you have much more grip. Now, if you overdo the throttle, you won't. But if you are patient and smooth and just apply a bit of throttle, it will feel a lot better. So you can go for it straight away if you want. The tyres may be a little cold. Also, just to let you know, you can go into turn 1 absolutely flat out and then brake. Now, it got slidey there because you had to lift because you was going a bit too quick, but instantly I could tell you had more grip. Now I'm going to scare the shit out of you. This right-hander is absolutely flat out. Admittedly, you have to be on the brake straight away after the corner to make this one, but that right-hander is flat out. So, given what I mentioned about the throttle in the first sector, the double left-hander that's coming up now, if you can, just either try and hold fourth gear around it, or get down to third for the second part quite early, so that you can then just hold the throttle all the way around. See, as soon as you're on the throttle, the car grips up.
Yeah, it does.
Right, this left-hander is absolutely flat out. Okay, so your tyres are starting to get a little bit worn, but we'll keep going anyway. So, if you can, absolutely flat out into turn 1. It'll be slightly quicker than the prior lap, because obviously we'd stopped on the start-finish straight. Unlucky. Right, so jump back to the pits, get a fresh set of tyres on. It'll help. But the thing is, unless someone mentions to you, I mean, seeing that there, you know, when you turned in, you would have turned in thinking, I need to turn in at this point, because if I don't, I'm not making the corner. But what the car basically said was, what the fuck are you doing? I can do this easy, look! And it cut the corner, because it can turn so well. But that's one of the reasons why I've brought you here, because it is going to show you what the car can do. And the on throttle through the corners it basically is in every single corner. That's not to say that you should be flat out in every corner, you shouldn't be. But if you can be on the throttle rather than off the throttle, it is much better.
Yeah.
Tyres are a bit cold. I mean, something that's recommended in this car as well is on qualifying laps, do your out laps slow, not too slow that the tyres get cold, but slow enough that you don't take any life out of them. Then when you push on your qualifying lap, you can get an extra couple of tenths out of it. It might need third gear for that corner. The thing is with this car as well, I know I've said like try and be on throttle through the corners, you can use the brakes on this car. The brakes on this car are absolutely amazing. So if you are going a little bit too fast on the way into a corner, you can dab the brakes, it won't be a problem. Okay, turn one. I'm not sure if there is one on this game. If there's a white line going across the track, don't turn in until you've gone past that. Coming up. That's better. Do you see how easy that was to make that corner? Just turned in later. Right, so that's it. That's it. This one's a tighter one. But being on the throttle, you still go around the corner flat out. Right, similar here to turn one. Don't turn in too soon, but keep it flat out and on the brakes straight away after the corner. See, easily gets it slowed down in time. Well saved. That's it, that's it. Unlucky. Right idea though. Nicely done. Right, you can stop there. So did it feel any different being on the throttle through the corners?
Yeah, it feels like it's not sliding, it's like a lot more grippier.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the downforce is probably holding you down.
Exactly, that's the point of it. This car has got so much downforce that one of the ways to maximise it is to be on the throttle. But if you're, as I mentioned, if you're full throttle at the wrong point, it won't work. And for example, turn one here, now that you've been through that corner flat out, in this car you should never do anything other than take it flat out. And the reason being, if you lift off going into turn one, the car's going to slide, which then makes slowing down for turn two harder. So you're better off going flat out through the corner and banging the brakes on. Not many cars on the game are going to be able to do it. Formula 1 cars should, this car should, Red Bull X should, Le Mans cars should. Most other cars you're probably going to have to lift on the way in, but they haven't got the aeros of this particular car. But it is an instantly noticeable benefit. Also, you know, after the knuckles you got the long left hander and then you got the right hander where I said right, this one's flat out. it's probably not a corner you would have thought you could take flat out, but this car can do it easy. I mean, you've only been round that corner what 3-4 times in this car, and you've already taken it flat out and made the next corner, which means from now on you know you can go through that corner absolutely flat out, no problem. So that's basically shown you that at pretty high speed, I mean turn one's it's about a 75-degree corner, it can take that flat out. The knuckles you need to be on the throttle, so any sort of medium, so for example turn 3 of the Red Bull ring is very much like the knuckles. Once you've got it slowed down, if you can be on the throttle again, you'll have more grip around the corner. And turn 4, if you can get it slowed down, not too early, but if you get it slowed down so you can be on the throttle again through the corner, and the left right on throttle through those corners, you've got grip coming your way. But also again the flat out right hander again shows you another corner where you can just go absolutely flat out. This car is brilliant for that. Okay, let's take you to the Red Bull ring then, and we shall see what we can do there. Now I noticed as well that for the R130, which is the left-hander at the end of the long straight at the end of the lap, the first couple, I think the first lap you lifted, the second lap I don't think you did, which is fine. You realised you could take that corner flat out, but what was good was the last run that you did there, you put very minimal steering on, which was absolutely spot on, because you could take the corner flat out. You need to get through round the corners with as little steering angle as possible, and that's where having the grip comes from. See, when it comes to cornering, you need to make the corner as fast as possible, and the way to do that is to be, if it's a right-hand corner, be as far left as you can for as long as you can before you turn in, and on the exit of the corner be as far over to the left again, so that you can make the corner straighter effectively. And another feature of that is using as little amount of steering as possible. The more steering angle you put on, effectively the slower you can go, and the more wear you can put on your tyres. Okay, so for the Red Bull ring, obviously you've done a few laps around here already. You've done some practice. You've done a 1:22.4, which, to be fair, is a very good lap time anyway. But we'll send you out there. I'm going to let you drive, and we'll see if we can help you get a bit more used to this car.
It'd be interesting when you're setting up the car as well. You can put your foot down when you're accelerating and go around the corner. To set up your gears so you can do that.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, this is a car that, like any other, you don't really want to be downshifting round corners. You can upshift round corners. It can handle that quite nicely. But yeah, if you're going round, let's say for example turn 3 that's coming up, if you're going round it in second gear and it's bouncing off the limiter, but third gear is too long to get around it at any speed, yeah, your gears would need adjusting. But I mean, this car though, it likes you to be on the throttle. You can abuse the car. You can go quite fast and absolutely destroy your tyres in the process, or you can go pretty fast and not destroy your tyres. And the trick is to go quite fast and kill your tyres in qualifying while looking after them in a race. What I would say is, if you do happen to make an error, if you think you know why, mention it and I can let you know if you're right or not. Well, I couldn't quite hear what you said then, so I'm not going to answer. You noticed then, as soon as you put the throttle on, the grip came.
Yeah, sliding about.
Oh, that's unlucky. It was good though. You realised you braked too late the first lap, so you braked earlier. I'll try and keep an eye on that corner, see if I've got an idea as to why you might lose the car there and there. So I will try and keep an eye on it, and if I can work out exactly what it is, I can let you know, and then you can avoid doing it. Okay, this corner at the moment, try using second gear on the way in. It'll allow you to be on the throttle, and then you can shift up nice and early. And again here, if you slow it down early, that's it, get it down to gear, then you can hug it, that's it, that's it. And this corner, if you actually pop it down to fourth gear, it'll turn in better, and then you can get up to fifth. So those last two corners, you can take them in fifth and fourth, but you have got to be braking at the right point, turning in at the right point, and be at the right speed. Okay, I think I do know why you were spinning on that corner, but keep going. That's it. Nice. That's it. As soon as you realised the grip was there, you could floor it.
Yeah.
Nice. Might need third. Oh no, you'll be alright. Just, well done. Okay, on the exit of this corner, short shift. So
Yeah.
try and not let the limiter hit. That's it. Give yourself much more traction on the exit of the corner. Same down here. Go into the corner in second gear, and once you're on your way out of it, short shift to third. It'll make it much more stable for you.
drift across coming out of that
Yeah.
corner.
Yeah, so
On the track.
I can let you know why in a moment. Okay. Your tyre wear is quite high, and the reason for that is too much steering angle in some corners. Not all corners, just some corners. And the more steering angle you apply, is the faster you're travelling, the less you're actually steering, the more you're going to slide. The more you slide, the more tyre wear you get. So that's why you run wide a bit on the final corner just then. Also, the reason I think you've been spinning at turn 1 and 2 is having too much steering lock applied on the exit of the corner. Excuse me. So what I would probably say is, from looking at the moment, you need to prepare the car for the corners. Right, hang on, turn 4 onwards, you need to prepare the car for the corners a little bit sooner. By preparing the car for the corners a little bit sooner, it's actually going to allow you to come out of the corners faster, which is then going to allow you to prepare for the next corner a little sooner, and in turn look after your tyres and go quicker. Right, turn 1 and 2, yeah, the spins you've been having, I think it is because you got too much steering lock applied. A simple way to think of it is, your steering wheel and your throttle pedal are effectively interlinked, right? So, for example, heading up to turn 2, you're absolutely flat out on the throttle as your steering wheel is straight. You hit the brakes and you're off the throttle and your steering is applied. Once your steering is applied and you start getting back on the throttle, your steering should be coming off. So as throttle goes on, steering comes off. If you've got too much lock applied when you apply the throttle, effectively you spin the car. You're turning too much, the rear can't handle it, and around you go. If you add in, like at turn 1, a horrible nasty curb on the exit of the corner, it results in an even worse spin, which can make you think, oh, the curb's spinning me, blah blah blah. But in actual fact, it could be just that you've got too much throttle applied with too much steering angle applied.
Yeah.
So if you do realise, for example, at turn 1 that you are going to be all over the curb, try and get the wheel as straight as possible as soon as possible.
Whoa.
Now, typically, I wasn't actually looking at your steering angle applied there, but you were on the curb quite a lot there. What I would say is, in the race around this particular track, to look after the tyres, it'd probably be more beneficial to go around that final corner in 3rd gear, because it'll pretty much guarantee you get around the corner every single time, no problem. As I mentioned, 5th gear and 4th gear for the last 2 corners are only if you are on at the absolute optimum line and speed. Anything other than that, you want 4th gear for the penultimate corner, and 3rd gear for the final corner. That will guarantee you get around the corner.
Yeah.
Okay, what I really want to try and work on with you at the moment, because to be honest, your turn 1 isn't too bad, your turn 2 isn't too bad, your turn 3 is pretty good. It's from here onwards, right? So what I would say is you're slowing the car down a touch too late, which means you can't do what you've just done now. This curb on your right that you've just gone over, by the time you get to the end of the curb, you should already be in 5th gear. That'll allow you at the end of the curb to lift off, downshift and turn in and then throttle. But if you're still in 4th gear by the end of the curb and try going up to 5th and down to 4th, you miss the first apex and you kill the tyres.
that.
It can be a little tricky in this car because, like I say, it's very good in corners. It loves the brakes. So slowing down a touch earlier than what it can actually do does seem counterintuitive. Nice. You had a lot of steering lock on then, but as soon as your throttle was applied, you came off the steering.
Yeah, sometimes consciously there.
Yeah. You noticed you was only in, well, the thing is, you noticed you're only in 4th, right? Now, you went up to 5th, which is fine, but the trick is going to be to take the left-hander better so that you're naturally in 5th gear and not having to force it. And the way to do that was, when we get round there, I'll point something out to you. Now, what I would recommend is, while you're trying to learn what the car can do and learn the track, for turn 4, I would use 3rd gear to turn in, but then part way around the corner, you go up to 4th gear, and then by the time you get to the exit curb, you can go into 5th gear. Gradually, the more and more you do that, you may get to a point where you feel you can actually go in 4th and take 4th all the way round it. But the trick at the moment is to get the line right, and to get the line right, you need to get the braking point right. Okay, slow down. Okay, slow down on the curb, on the right. Stop, stop, stop. See that white line there?
Yeah.
That's your braking point. Okay.
Okay.
But you're braking sort of much further, or you were for braking much further ahead. The last lap, you actually braked quite close to this white line. Now the thing is, if you do brake here, you don't have to brake hardly any at all. I mean, I don't think you, from what I can remember, I don't think you can just lift and turn. You may just need a gentle dab of the brake. But if you do that here and look to enter the corner in 3rd gear, you may find that you turn too much and you're all over the apex curb and you spin the fucking car. But that would let you know, alright, okay, yeah, that can do it. And trust me, once you've braked at that point and got into the corner and hugged the apex and powered all the way through, you'll notice the difference and you won't ever want to drive it any other way. And it's one of the things about this particular corner on this track, everybody attacks it. But the fastest way round it is to attack it a different way, which is to have the car at the right speed on the way in, and then you can accelerate all the way out. Because the faster you take this corner, the faster you can go into turn 1, right?
Yeah.
Because from here to turn 1 is all connected. The faster you go through this corner, the faster you go through the next corner, and the next corner, the faster you are on the next straight, the faster you can take the last 2 corners, and so on. But if you take this one and hurt your tyres and overheat your tyres, you're going to lose time in this one, and the next one, and the next one, and the last 2, and you're going to hurt your tyres in every single one of them.
Yeah.
So this is a key corner around this track. So yeah, 50 metre marker board, white line, that's your braking point, or your corner preparation area for this corner. And what you'll find is around about this point you'll be able to be up into 4th gear, 5th gear here, and that then allows you a much more distance to prepare the car for these 2 corners. Your rear end nearly went then.
Yeah,
But you,
the sausage.
yeah. Well, also, you had quite a bit of steering applied when you first got on the throttle, but then you came off the steering. See, now you didn't have a lot of steering applied there, but you had just enough that when you applied the throttle, the car couldn't handle it on the curb. Now, the red dot that I mentioned, it was literally halfway above your gear indicator. Oh, that's gravel, unlucky, because you were looking at it. But yeah, the red dot was only halfway above the gear indicator, so it wasn't a lot of steering angle you had on, but it was enough to pivot the car on the AstroTurf and curb. Okay, so reminder, 50 metres, white line.
Too busy looking for it.
That's alright. So you see third gear hugs that corner lovely. It'll always feel like you can go faster through it, but third gear is a guaranteed corner maker. Yeah, okay, you had a lot of steering angle applied then as you got on the throttle. If you'd have had your wheel a little straighter, you'd have been able to go. I think that's it. So even though you was all over the curb then, because your wheels were straight, no problem. I know it may seem a bit odd that I say you've got a lot of steering angle applied when compared to the Toyota we've just been driving. It's like hardly any steering at all, but for this car it's a lot of steering.
Yeah.
Okay, touch too soon on the throttle. If you'd have been in third gear it may have made it, but you did slow the car down at the right point. So if you slow the car down at that 50 metres and go for third gear on the way in, you'll make it. That's it. That's a better line. That's it. Nice. Came off. You had a lot of steering angle applied, but as soon as you came off it, you could get on the power. Lovely line. Unlucky. Well recovered. You got your braking right, your entry right.
Just slightly wrong.
Yep. Nice. Nice. If you'd have been in 4th gear on the way into that corner, you'd have understeered wide. So well done. That's it. Steering. Oh, well done. See, it was wiggly, but as soon as you came off it, it was fine. Good gear changes. Okay, down 2 gears for this corner. Look at that. Go, 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 go. Unlucky. It was lovely through the left-hander. You could have shifted into 5th quite early as well. But that was so much better on the way in. I mean, it was so good on the way in. You didn't know if it was going to make it on the way out, but it can.
No. I'm nervous.
Well saved. Shift, shift, shift. Unlucky. Right. Entry, spot on. Mid corner, yes, go to 4th gear. But like I said, once you're getting close to that exit curb, doesn't matter what your revs are doing, doesn't matter how close you are to the end of your rev range, change into 5th gear. It is the key to being able to take the next left-hander at a better speed. By going up to 5th gear, it allows you to lift and shift down, right, which gives you a little bit of engine braking, and it changes the weight balance of your car to the front, right? Because the car's slowing down, the weight effectively moves to the front of the car, which then means when you turn, you've got more grip. If you get to the end of the curb and change up to 5th, you're giving the car very limited time to do that change and allow you to turn in, so hitting the apex is much harder. But if you can be in 5th gear, as soon as you touch the curb, right, you can ride the curb all the way to the service road. So at the end of the curb, rather than going up into 5th, you're lifting and coming down to 4th because you're already in 5th. If you can get to that point, you'll find the car's more stable and you'll be faster through the left-right, because once you turn in, you'll be able to just floor it all the way round the corner.
Yeah, man.
Now, I know that you haven't hit the lap times that you was doing in practice earlier, but don't get disheartened. You got some knobhead fucking talking in your ear hole while people are watching you drive.
Oh, I don't know what time they had it set on. So.
I won't worry about that. The thing is, though, the things that you're learning and you're putting into practice, you're doing very well. Like the steering angle thing, once you've experienced how to fix it, won't take that many times of doing it for it to become automatic. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so by this point, you'd be in fifth, which would allow. Yeah, well, no, not fifth through round the corner. If need be, I'll show you in a minute what I mean, in case you're unsure. Nice, got off the steering. Well done. Get up to fifth, get up to fifth. Okay, that was better, but you still need to be going up to fifth about 20 metres earlier.
Yeah.
Nice. Go on, go on, nice. Right line, right speed, fourth gear, comfortable. It's interesting. Well, you did, but the car can actually handle it as long as you're steering straight, which it was. The thing is, the first corner is a third gear corner, but if you're offline at any point, it is a second gear corner. Sometimes you'll take it in second gear, and it'll feel awful and horrible, and it's because you could have gone in third. So I try and approach turn one as a third gear corner. But as soon as I've hit the brakes and start turning in, I kind of know, right, this is a second gear this time. So prepare for third, but be aware for second. Okay, fifth.
Even though it's not ready to rev out, just put in anyway.
Right, so when you finish this lap, I'll show you, so you can. Unlucky. Yeah. Oh. Right.
Could have been lap time.
Quite possibly would have done, yeah. I mean, the thing is, you've been taking turn one really, really nicely in third gear. So for turn one, yeah, approach it with the intention of taking the corner in third gear. Once you've turned in, if you get the feeling that you're not going to make the corner, then yeah, knock it down to second, but be careful of how much steering you've got on when you do knock it down to second. It's kind of the same for turn two. I mean, turn two, you can do it in second gear and it can be quicker, but if you're going a little bit too fast, you have to slow down a lot more, but you can just knock it down to first to get it to turn in. So it's kind of like, there's a gear that is really good for the corner, but if you're off speed, offline, whatever it may be, in the back of your mind you should have, okay, In an ideal world, it's third gear, but if anything else happens, second gear for turn 1. For turn 2, it's second gear, but if anything else happens, first gear. Down here, it's second gear, but if anything else happens, fuck it, I'm going to be in the gravel.
Yeah.
Around here, fourth gear, but we'll go with third gear until we can make it. So it'd be fourth gear, but if anything else happens, it'd be third gear. Alright, and so on. Right, okay, this corner, around here, you should be into fourth gear, and then by the time you get here, fifth gear. Right? Okay. If you can be in fifth gear at this point, you now have the whole of the road in front of you for your lift off, shift and turn. So effectively, you just keep speeding up, and you can use this curb, right? So that when you get to this point, you can lift off, you can shift down, and you can turn through the corner. I'll try and do it at a slightly higher speed. Now, when you get to a point where you can turn in fourth and make it around the corner in fourth, it will be considerably easier for you to get up to fifth. But the reason I'm getting you to go in third is so that it makes sure that you get the entry line right, which will allow you to go up to fourth. It's the process I use to make sure I get my entry lines right, and then try and work on, can I go for a higher gear through there. Right. Oh. I mean, this corner you've been taking quite nice, and the exit with the short shift and coming off the steering, you've been taking quite nicely as well. And then you can just power all the way around. I mean, I didn't take it perfectly, but by going up to that fifth gear, it gives you so much more time and the car so much more opportunity to be set right for the left-hander. And once you've turned in, you should be able to feel straight away, I can make this flat out, or I can't make it. Right.
How far you want me to rev right through, then change up to fifth?
No.
So behind, not
gotcha.
halfway.
Yeah. Yeah, that's alright. That's understandable. We were doing some practice. You know, when we was on with you the other night, we was doing some practice. After you went on, there was a few more of us on. And we just went and did some random races around some tracks. And sorry, James, but James was on with us, and the first race we did, he was getting destroyed on the straights. Like, literally, his car was so slow, but in the corners, it was really fast. And after the race, was like, you have, like, tuned it up, haven't you? He goes, yeah, I have. I was like, right, okay, what have you got it set to? Like, oh, well, power's at 160, right, and weight's at 137. It's like, okay, you've added weight, not taken it off. That's why you're slow on a straight. The thing is, I've only mentioned it. I'd say I've only mentioned that because you drove without it tuned up at all. But that's.
It's not just me.
No, it definitely isn't you.
I wonder if there's anyone else.
Probably. Unlucky. Oh, I think it was just a little too much of a overcorrection. Things it's not easy if you're used to driving a certain way. I mean, everyone's got their own driving style, but trying to take on someone else's driving inputs is not always easy to do, especially if you've not been used to it, because it can sound very counterintuitive to go up a gear way before the rev range is telling you to.
Yeah, I've never driven Formula 1 cars or cars like this.
Well, I think the way to look at this is don't look at it as being like a Formula 1 car, look at it like being an extremely steroided up go-kart. That's it, go, 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 go. Look at that, look at that. Nice. 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 Much smoother correction, well done, well done. Nicely done. Not easy over that bump. Now I know you lost time in the second sector there, but don't worry, I think a big portion of it came from turn 2. You're braking at a lovely point for turn 2. So try and take the corner in second gear.
Okay.
It might feel slow, but let's try and work on that. Typical. Compliment your braking point, then you brake later. Nice. Went a bit far before you lifted off there, so you had to be a little bit slower around the corner.
Yeah. Drifted across, I think, as well.
Yeah. Oh, recovered.
again.
It's interesting that though. For those last 2 laps, you did brake a little bit later than what you were doing before. So go back to, well, actually no. I do want you to work on taking that corner in second gear, right? But if that means braking at about 105 meters, do it. All right. So brake before the 100-meter marker board, and be hard on those brakes. And just to let you know as well, your lines through turns 4 and 5 getting considerably better with that 50-meter braking point. However, you are braking too much, so you can literally do it with a gentle dab of the brakes and let the car slow down towards the apex, and then you can get on the power. So rather than hard on the brakes to get it slowed down, gentle on the brakes and let the car slow itself down.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I remember when I was helping my brother on Formula 1, doing a similar thing to this, for example, I'd say, like, I'd just have turn 4 and 5, like, or turn 4, be gentle on the brakes, and he would be, but he'd also end up being gentle on the brakes in every other corner. So, just so you know, and anyone that's watching this, when I say gentle on the brakes in this corner, it is this corner only. That's it. You see how much easier that turned in?
Yeah, it did pull it in a lot.
Yeah.
It sort of pulls you around the corner.
Exactly. Yeah. Thing is, this curb will do exactly the same thing. Although I do know that on a G29 wheel, this car around this track can be a little bit horrible because of the curbs rattling the wheel.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so braking at about 105 meters.
Braking not hard enough, like it's there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so don't brake as much here. That's it, let it slow down, that's it, that's it. Nice, smooth steering there, well done. Nice. Nice, well done. Straightened up that steering and was able to keep going.
Yeah.
That's it, that's it. That's it. Off the steering. Oh, unlucky. Perfect line. Perfect line. Just to... once you get to the apex curb in second gear, you can start coming off the steering. You don't need to keep it on to keep getting around the corner. It seemed counterintuitive, unfortunately. It is something that I had to work on myself, in that once you get to the apex curb, doesn't really matter what you're doing with the accelerator or anything like that, you've got to be coming off the steering, because you can't accelerate unless you do. So you had the perfect line there, perfect speed, and if you'd have been straightening up the wheel, you would have come out of that corner so fast. Unlucky, yellow curb. Oh. Nice, nice, nice. Good speed in there. Okay, straighten up the wheel. So you see that time you did wait until you were getting off the wheel before you pressed the throttle, which was good, but you can come off the wheel so much sooner.
Yeah, I probably lost it. What a speed.
Maybe. See, only a tiny bit of brakes there, that was good, but if you had third gear on the way in, it'd have turned in for you.
Ah, yeah. It went down one gear, didn't it?
Yeah. Sausage. Well saved.
Like Dirt Rally, that. There is other games available.
Sure. So you see, you can go all over that curb like you have been doing, as long as your wheel's straight. And your tyre wear on this run is better. Okay, straighten up the wheel. If you think about it this way, alright, if your steering angle has to be coming off for your throttle to go on, in that turn 2 your throttle needs to be going on sooner, which means you got to come off your steering sooner.
Yeah.
The thing is, now that you've taken those corners, I was going to say the right way, but it's not. I wouldn't necessarily call it the right way. In the DP way, now when you enter that fast left-right corner, you'll know when you're not on that line, and you can react to it and keep as much speed as you can. Well saved. And how did you save it?
Yeah.
You was, but
lifted off.
Yep. That is the other way. Yeah. If you've got too much steering on, or you're losing the rear, you can lift off or straighten up. Okay. Off the steering early. Okay. Still keeping steering on too long. Literally, as soon as your right front tyre touches that apex curb or gets near that apex curb, come off your steering. Lucky. Ooh. Oh, excuse me. Okie doke. Turn 2 it's a bit of an odd one, really. For people to understand. I don't know if understand is the right word. For people to think that what I'm saying will work, because it's kind of like, well, how am I going to get around the corner if I'm not steering? Well, the key to it is because you're coming off the steering, you can get on the throttle, and because you can get on the throttle, the car will turn around the corner for you. So literally, as soon as that right front, so now you come off the steering and spin at the curve. No, but no, I mean, that was the right point. Once you've touched that curb, you can come off the steering and you can start applying the throttle. Because if you think about what we did at Suzuka in that first sector, if you got a little bit of throttle on, your car has more grip. So through that corner, if you can hold a little bit of throttle on, and then as you're coming off the steering, increase it, so that by the time that your steering is straight, you can be flat out and short shift if you need to. Well, you will need to, but you can short shift. Ah, it's a lovely line, that is. Good steering there.
Yeah, it's a bit squirmy, but I had it straight, so...
Yeah. It will be a little squirmy, but it's a controllable squirmy rather than a spin.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Not the right line, but you realised it. You realised it and you automatically reacted to it. So you kept the speed. Okay, for this next corner, turn 4, try and not downshift to third too soon. So like there, you're bouncing the limiter in third gear. Try and do it more down to fourth, down to third, rather than fourth, third, and it'll. That's why the car's pushing on a little bit on entry. Nice couple of corners there. Even though the car was sliding a little bit, it wasn't really damaging the tyres because your car's under control. That's a nice line. Go, 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 go.
It's picking up.
The thing is though, now you know that you can be all over that curb and you can keep going.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem if you are on the curb. See, didn't bounce the limiter. That'll make it, that'll make it. Yeah, didn't bounce the limiter on the way into turn 4 and it turned in much better.
Yeah.
Shit happens sometimes, mate. It's how you cope when it does. And you cope very well there. Still going in the right direction. What happened there? Too much steering angle, that's all it was.
Yeah.
The red dot was all the way over to the right, so you was at about 90-degree steering angle while you was on the curb. So as you accelerated.
Going in a bit too fast, so I couldn't really get around the corner.
Maybe. If you're struggling to take second gear comfortably on that line, go back to taking it in first, and just focus on getting the right line on entry and working on coming off the steering nice and early. You can take this corner in first gear. I do quite often. Like I said, it's a second gear corner, but if anything else happens, take it in first. But the same process applies, except for if you're going to go into the corner in first, you can go up to second much sooner. So once your right tyre clips that apex curb and you're coming off the steering at that point, you can short shift to second and then short shift to third.
Yeah.
Unlucky.
I think I'm going to drop down to first. I can't seem to do it when I'm in second.
It might just be an unnatural line and process for you. The thing is, there isn't really any other corner that's like that. But turned in a little bit early there.
Well, I'd have been penalty point.
Quite possibly. But yeah, you were wide because you turned in too soon at the sausage curb. Yeah, penalty points. Purple sector. Yeah, definitely penalty points.
Yeah.
Unlucky. That's going wide. Wall. Unlucky. It just turned in a bit too early again. That's better. I don't mind that though. Don't get disheartened about going off there because you were concerned about turning in too soon. So.
Getting tired. That was it.
Thing is, there's been a lot for you to take in, and it's not all gonna slot into place straight away. But the thing is, you've got a very good rate of learning. I mean, that's noticeable.
Drags you around the corner, doesn't it? If you get on, right?
Yeah.
Still not used to this.
Nice. Okay, brake just before the 100. Nice steering. See how it was sliding because you was off the throttle?
Yeah, you need to be.
It's like any kind of lift that you need to do is so much more beneficial to do it before the corner, so you can be on the throttle through the corner, because then it's got all the grip that you need. Right, might be time for a break there.
Yeah.
But I would say that was a good session. Okay, you haven't reached the lap time that you did when you was practicing earlier, but the things I've got you to try today will allow you to go faster more consistently, and will allow you to go faster for longer because you'll look after your tyres more. Because every time you're not sliding, you're not hurting the tyres. So. But I mean, to be fair, of the 3 trickiest corners on this track, which is turn 1, turn 2 and turn 4, turn 1 you're actually going through there very, very nicely, right? It's not easy to go through there in 3rd gear consistently and keeping the pace, but on most of the laps that you've been doing, you're very consistent through there, and you're very good through there. Turn 2, this one, it's an awkward bit. Take it in 1st gear if that's what you're more comfortable with. You may find making 1st gear a tiny little bit longer could be beneficial for you in that corner. You've been absolutely fine on this corner, that's why I've not said anything about it, other than changing up to 3rd early, which you started doing straight away, no problem. And this corner, now you've been taking it the way that I've been mentioning it to you, as soon as you're off that line, you notice, and the same here, as soon as you are off the line, you notice and you can recover. So that's really, really good. That's the impressive thing about it. These corners, to be fair, you've been very, very good through these corners. You've been off the last couple of laps, but that happens sometimes. especially when you're focusing on other corners. So to be fair, your racecraft around this particular track has been very, very good. And it would just be a case of the more you not work on it, but the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Well, what I would say is this track is not the best of tracks to show what this car can do. A little bit like Suzuka. Suzuka can show what this car can do. Dragon Trail can. Catalunya can. So this track's a little bit of an awkward one to really get a proper feel of the car. But knowing what you know now about being on the throttle through the corners, it's a game changer when it comes to this track and other circuits as well. But
yeah, it's something to work on, isn't it?
Mhm. I mean, this car as well, I mean, you can throw this car around quite a bit. It can take a bit of a pounding if you drive it the right way. So you can lean on it. You can try going fast around the corners. As long as you've got your entry prepared right, you can start trying to push the limits of the exit, because that's where the lap times really come. Well controlled. You were lucky in a way, but also it was good. The yellow sausage curb, you straddled it, which means yes, it bumped you, but not as bad as if you'd have hit it with your tyre. But that's a good time in the final sector, though. Right, I'm going to take a break there because I need to go and get myself something to eat. So what I would say there, John, is very good overall, and considering that you've not really driven these kind of cars, I think you'll be absolutely fine once you get a few more laps under your belt, mate. I think you'll be absolutely fine with them.
Yeah, consistent in that.
Yeah.
123-ish, but you know.
The thing is, it's never easy when you're trying to. Yeah, it's never easy when you're trying to learn something new, though. Never is. I mean, one thing I've been trying to tell my niece is that while you try and learn something new, quite often stuff you know can take a bit of a hit. But the trick is to not get concerned about taking a hit. So, like turn one, I've not been too worried. Like if you lose any time in turn one, because I know you can do it, and you know you can do it. But so once you've sort of brought turn 4, 5 and 6 up to the level of turn 1 was, then the whole lot progresses.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, I am going to end my stream there. And I'll say thanks Twilight for letting me live stream this.
No problem.
That's all right. And I shall I I think I might be doing another one with Rich Blues at some point, and Twilight, if you want another session at another track at some time, that's fine. So yeah, this has been Demon Red Mist with Twilight. We shall we'll see you again soon.